Okay, Devils, how we doing today? Sam here with you. It's the 11th of June here, so we're looking at traditionals as it's a Tuesday. So first up was the S&P. That was the poll winner. We got a couple battling it out for second place here, so I'm not sure what we'll do after this. But the S&P here is a pretty interesting position we sit at. Now, just for a quick review, we've been operating on the assumption that we completed an impulse up here. We had our correction, and I've got a somewhat of a simplified count, quite deliberately, because we don't really need more than this at this point. All right, so 3, 4, 5, we complete something. Here's the correction. You get a nice ABC. Now we've gone up, put in a new high here. So if this is going to continue in this sequence, well, we would look here and say, well, if this is the correction here, and we're off to another impulse, and this is our one wave, well, just simple stuff. We'd be anticipating a move to the 50. So swing low to swing high. Here's the buy zone here. We'd be looking, grab here. So anywhere in this zone is where we'd be anticipating the second. So we got to, there's really only, this is, again, the reason I wanted to simplify the count here, because there's really, there's just only so many ways this can go here. We've had a nice ABC down. So one thought is swing low, swing high. The market is so incredibly strong, so fueled by easy money, that we're only going to get a retracement to the 38. And we're just going to, this ABC is going to stop it. We come into some structure here, interestingly. So this, if you look at that, this level here, it was tested twice, damn near to the tick, right? So we have a big collection right here. We have market acceptance here. It holds, and that's quite a ricochet off of that support. So there's really only a couple of different ways. Now, assuming, as an Elliottician, there's only a couple of ways this can go, unless something unusual happens, which these days certainly possible. ABC, we go straight to the 786, and now we're having a little retrace here. Now it looks, what are we in the S&P now? We're down 7 points, but we were up 20-something earlier, so we're pulling back. Now note what we're doing here. So we've just come back to this prior swing high, right? So prior resistance being tested here as potential support. So if we're going to get the 50, well, the ABC is clear enough. You'd likely be anticipating a WXY, right? So we'd be looking for an ABC to come down here and get closer to this 50. So we can do a couple of things here, just standard ops. So from our pivot high to our swing low up to our 786. So we've got a contender here now. So the ABC here, this correction, I should say, we could end up with, we could end up with a flat, we could have a running flat, we can have an expanded. There are a couple of different ways this can go, but I should say it this way, if the 786 is going to hold, there seems to be fewer process of elimination. Either we're going to get an A, B, C to take us down here, and then we're going up for this would be the start of the third at this degree, or we're going to have a very shallow 2. This is the 1 of the next degree. Again, looking for a retrace between the 50 and the 618, and then we're going to go up 3, 4, 5, and that would, could be the third, could be the 1 of the third. So right now, yeah, so there's definitely a corner pocket here. So from that pivot, right, if you're comfortable selling the S&P, so you've got a corner pocket right here. So I'm just going to use the algo target. We could fatten that up a bit, right, and say, okay, well, anywhere in this zone, always the caveat, right, as long as that corner holds as the corner of the corner pocket, as long as this pivot holds, 80% probabilities, best odds in trading. I say it all the time. Right, it's my favorite trade. So, you could damn near sell it now. Now markets, what are we from? Oh, you haven't gone terribly far. Now, I am looking at a 4-hour chart, so that looks smaller than it is. So if I go down to a 1 hour, it's still relatively small retracement we've started here. So you could be a seller here. Now, would you do it in futures? Well, probably not, right? So if you're trying to swing trade this, safer play would be to do it with options, so you don't you're not carrying that margin over. It was, it depends on your account size. What you can manage there is appropriate for your risk tolerance and your account size. So, but given the volatility, we know there's going to be options are going to be, there's going to be full of volatility. So straight buying of options, you're going to pay for that. So to buy a put here is not going to be inexpensive. So you're going to need to be absolutely right about the direction. When volatility is a little bit higher, I prefer to go in the money and get a little bit of delta. So you're going to pay more for that option. I don't know that I'd be, but I don't want to get into some complex ways you could trade this with options. So if you're trying to keep it simple, you've had enough of a reaction here. You could buy a put. Now, what you want to avoid doing is buying an out of the money put, because then just time is ticking every day. So if you were going to trade this with an option, I would encourage buying either at the money or slightly in the money, right? I understand you're going to pay a premium for that, but that would be the safer way to do it. If it breaks this pivot, you get out. That's non-negotiable. If you take that trade, if it breaks that pivot, you get out. Right? And I know I mentioned this a lot with options. It's very tempting to stay, well, I got 60 days left in that option. Let's see what happens. I've made that mistake many times. I'm telling you guys, you got to have an absolute, I get out, I don't care what's happening in the market point. Right? Now, if something were to happen and were to come back down again, then you go back a second time. Better to do that and then just ride it out and get into that, well, I hope it comes back. I hope it comes back. You know that idea, right? So if this is going to come down, now one thought is, I'm 60. If this gets a little further, then you could take the first retrace, trying to get, is that the 1, 2, A, B? If it's a retrace and you have an internal retracement, your anticipation is we'd go into an external and get something along those lines that might get us down here, right? Now that could be just an A, right? B, and then we do it. There's a couple of different ways that could go to get us down here. But right now, so we have a technical pivot at the 786. I'm throwing the WXY on this because my inclination is that we are not done with this correction yet. All right, this one I'm all over. If we come down here, I love it. Right here, yeah, I mean that's certainly tradable, right? But again, I would do it with an option. So it's just a function of what kind, your familiarity with trading options and your trading capital. What I wouldn't do is just sell a futures, put a stop on it, and just let it ride. So you're gonna tie up too much premium. Well, again, it's all relative to your account size. You're gonna tie up some margin, whether you 1, 2 lot, whatever it's gonna be. You're gonna have to carry that margin, and if we're targeting down here, you could be in that for a month. So are you comfortable tying up margin there? Well, if this move happens, you'll be real comfortable because you'll make a shitload of money. But I would just caution there. Be careful in here. Right? We got a lot of shit in the background. There's just. This trading is never easy, but it's unusually it's hypersensitive right now. So you got. It's hard to imagine the Fed is about to lower rates, yet that seems to be what they're contemplating. So if that's the case, boy, is this thing going to scream that way. So you got to be careful here, and you got to be disciplined. But right now, the trade, if you're trading the market, the trade is a sell. Well, I know. You're going counter trend. I mean, this is more than 10 years into this, right? So selling the market has not proven to be long-term a successful way to approach this market, right? So now, sure, we get corrections, right? But they have been buying opportunities, right? Buy the dip has worked for 10 years. So we're going to get the same kind of thing here. So one thought is you say, counter trend. I'm not sure I love that idea. If you're a pure trader and you're comfortable with the options or the futures, the trade there is a sell. No question about it. Stop over the 786. Pretty black and white. If you're reluctant to sell the S&P, then my suggestion would be you sit and wait and see if we get this to realize. Are we going to come down here and catch this 50 or this algo target here, right? And there's it's not likely to go straight, right? So there will be little retrace opportunities if we get something like this, right? If we're going to get an A wave. There'll be little opportunities to get a little more confidence in the fact that we're going to start to sell off. So first thing you got to reckon with is, let's pull this off and this off, this is a pretty significant swing. So you can know quite with a high degree of certainty that this range here, assuming this pivot holds, there's going to be software sitting right there just waiting to buy that. So it's good. If this comes down here, we get into this zone, right? Software kicks in, right? Buy programs kick in there. They'll start at the 50, defend to the 618, and stop on the other side of the 65. That is set up to go. So what does that do to the count? Well, now you're back to, oh, guess the correction's done. This is not an X, this is a 1. We've gone 1, 2, and we're off into the third with a very shallow 2 relative to the entire move, right? So we go back here and you go, wow, that's unusual. It's not unheard of, right? Certainly not unheard of. We came right, you can kind of, here, look here, just point of control on visible range is sitting right where we went down to it. Double bottomed here, tested. So one way to interpret that is this level, which seemed to be important. You can kind of look left and you see this was support, resistance, support. Now it's support again. This level has been tested and the support confirmed, right? And that's a hell of a confirmation. So nice move off of that. But what's next? Well, again, you've got to pick a side here. So this, you could wait for the tell here on the goal. If this breaks, now higher probability we're heading here. If this holds, well, again, we could have a flat. We could have an expanded flat. There's a couple of different ways this could go in terms of this correction gaining some complexity. But this would be your decision point here if we're going to come down. Now note what happened, where that is, right? So this 50, let's just draw it this way. So look at all of this right here. Okay, so do you see how that all's kind of lining up? Resistance, 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 support. Broke through. Are we coming back to test support? So in the shorter term, see this is the trade-off with an option. If you don't get the follow through here with the option, you're gonna you stall here. You're gonna need to see a retrace and then a continuation of that trade, right? Or the time decay is gonna start to hurt you. So if you get that, which wouldn't be surprising at all, it would be consistent with this count. So if this is WX, right? For right now, that's you got to call it something, and the probability is lower that this is the 2. Right, so thus I put the W on it, right? But knowing that could change, it certainly could change. But if this is going to come down here and we're going to hold this and we're going to move up, well, it better carry on. Now, there's the break that confirms it. But you don't get that confirmation until you get down out of that 65, right? So then you lose this algo, right? Which is after this right here. Now, take note, that algo could hit. The X could still go up here. And then the whole thing still come down to this 50. Right, so a couple of different ways this can go, and with this amount of data, there is absolutely no way for us to know which way that's going to go. Now, there will be tells in here. This will be the first one. Well, I shouldn't say that. First question is, are we even going to get there? Because this may not be done. This could still be going. So this is not, there's no easy trade in here at the moment, right? Even if I go down to the 60 minute, you got to pick one, assuming you want to be trading in here. You got to pick something and then set up a trading plan. So got to be, okay, I'm shorting the first retracement. So even if we just do something like this, we get this little consolidation zone like this. All right, so we're kind of bouncing. Here's our pivot. Here's the prior support. Remember, that's the 3 pivot over here. Wait. Where are you? Wait, oh, shit, I can't even see it. But I showed it to you earlier. So that's that pivot. So we're kind of holding there. If we're going to come down, this is really your next tell. So if you're not already short, which I'm going to guess many of you are not already, let's tighten this up. Right now, day traders may be, but if you're not, here's the dominant pivot. What that's telling you right there, right? That we're headed down here. So how do we know? So look here. If this comes down here and we hold the 618, what is that going to tell you? Failure to make the median line, sign of strength. Sets up a move equal to or greater than the move that failed to get there, right? Equal to or greater than might set that up. Right, so look what that would do. Right, so then again, this X could come over here. You'd still have a counter trend move here, sets up the Y to come lower. So you're kind of, I would tell you, you're kind of in no man's land here. So I do not think this is a place to be a buyer. Right. So, again, I'm not saying if you buy it here, you can't make money. Yeah, of course you can. But if you're trying to trade what you see here, at this moment in time, path of least resistance is down, at least to this 50. Now, that 50 is a ways away. That's 28.21. What are we sitting at up here? 28.80? You got 30 S&P. Oh shit, we could do that today. So this is the next thing that the next area that can give you a tell. If we break that 65, right? If this breaks, let me pull that off of here. If this breaks, then the next question is, do we get to the median line? All right, now look where, so we went 786 here. We could come down here and get the 786 here, and then again, this could still play as an X wave. So there again, it's just there's no easy trading in here in the S&P right now. If you're a swing trader, you got to be patient because that easily. So right here, you got there. As far as I'm concerned, there's no buy there. This is I would trade the corner pocket looking for that median line. Now, if that gets the median line, so sorry. God damn it, fucking allergies. Okay, if we get down here. Then a retrace here is what you'd be anticipating. Now we're kind of using the median lines to kind of guide us down. So that's what I see here, guys. But again, I would do it with an option myself, right? And my target would be down here, let's call it 27. Well, let's call it the median line. Well, let me tighten that up. Let's get that tight. Well, if you change time zones or time frames, often these will get askew as you move back and forth. So that's what I'm targeting right now. If this holds, that's our tell, right? Maybe there's could easily, let's get this out of here. If this holds, then you're looking for this. If, let's say the golden zone holds, then we're up here, we're looking for that. It's still a sell, right? Then back here, it's still a sell. Until we get down here, then it's raging buy. But until then, until proven otherwise, that's the key pivot. Right, so everything is being dictated off of this pivot because it's a 786. Now, where do we go? All right, I guess that's about 17 minutes. I probably hyperanalyzed that, but that's what I see here, guys. Just be careful in here. All right, I got a couple more to do. I'll be back to you in a bit.